I'd like to bring this meeting to order. It's 6:31 p.m. and I'd like to call on Councillor Sentence to read the land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The city of Thorold is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Haudenosaunee, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The city of Thorold stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live.
Thank you, Councillor. Adoption of agenda. Please note Report DS 10 2024, Agenda Item 12.1, and the delegation on it have been withdrawn. This agenda will be an amended agenda to include 12.7. The motion coming out of public forum. Can I get a mover and a seconder for the adopted agenda? Councillor D'Angela and Councillor Ditavitas. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Adoption of the minutes. Can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the minutes? Councillor O'Hare and Councillor Hanley. The minutes are from Tuesday, March 19th, 2024. Are there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Mayor's report. On March 21st, CAO Manoj Dalwaria and I met with Terrence Bowles, President and CEO of the St. Lawrence Seaway, and their senior staff to discuss their operations as they relate to the city of Thorold. Items discussed included Seaway lands within the city, including the old cemetery, the Thorold Multimodal Hub, and opportunities moving forward. On March 21st, Manoj Dalwari and I attended the Niagara College Leadership Roundtable for local, municipal, and regional leaders. This roundtable focused on local industry needs, including those at the municipal and regional level. March 22nd, CAO Manoj Dalwari and I attended the St. Lawrence Seaway's 66th navigation season opening held at the St. Catharines Museum and Welland Canal Center at Lock 3. The CLSMC marked the opening of the 66th navigation season with the first upbound ship, the Algoma Salt. The ceremony included the presentation of the top hat and official declaration of the season opening by Terrence Bowles, St. Lawrence Seaway Management Corporation President and CEO. On March 23rd, I brought greetings on behalf of City Council to the Corporation of Professional Great Lakes Pilots 51st anniversary dinner dance held at the Old Stone Inn on Merritt Street in St. Catharines. The pilots ensure safe and efficient pilotage service within the Great Lakes region and in our backyard, the Welland Canal. Their skill set requires extensive experience and knowledge, and these skills take years to master. On March 27th, CAO Manoj Dalwaria, Regional Councillor Whalen, and I attended the 2024 State of the Region by Regional Chair Jim Bradley. This sold-out event was held at John Michael's Banquet and Event Center located in Thorold. The event included a presentation of the Niagara Impact Awards. Under the individual award category, Mark Basciano, president of the Mountain View Building Group located in the city of Thorold, was an award winner. On March 27th, I was joined by Councillor Sentence, D'Angela, and CAO Manoj Dalwaria at the Niagara Board of Trade and Commerce Business After 5 event held at the 4 Point Sheraton here in Thorold. Board Chair Mark Kawabe hosted this well-attended event showcasing his company, Katsu Canada. Every year, Meals on Wheels providers across Ontario participate in March for Meals, an annual event to increase awareness and community engagement with local Meals on Wheels providers. This year, Councillor Sentence participated on March 27th with hot meal delivery across the city of Thorold. Thank you, Councillor Sentence. On March 28th, I attended the virtual Town and Gown Association of Ontario discussion. The topic was unsanctioned street gatherings as they related to St. Patrick's Day weekend. The call included representatives from the following universities: Western, Waterloo, Laurier, Guelph, Queen's, and Brock. The preparation of our community partners achieved best-in-class results as we continue to make positive progress. And I want to thank Jason Simpson and his crew under the under the leadership of Danny Vukovic, who put a lot of work in, and the preparation paid off. On March 30th, the anonymous donor, a City of Thorold business person, hosted another food giveaway, third this year, for families and individuals in need. This event was held in the Holy Rosary Hall Church parking lot. A huge thank you to the anonymous donor, Knights of Columbus members, and numerous community volunteers, as well as Councilors DeAngela, DeRose, Hanley, and O'Hare. We were all thrilled to be a small part of this heartwarming community initiative hosted by the anonymous donor. On April 2nd, we raised the Autism Ontario flag and lit City Hall in blue. By celebrating World Autism Day, we can bring light to the systemic barriers that must be removed to create a more supportive and inclusive society. Thank you to Bethesda, our community partners, who donated blue t-shirts, and Autism Ontario, who provided the flag, as well as Cogeco, Your TV, and Thorold Today for event coverage. Thank you to all those who attended the flag raising: Councillor Sentence, Didavitas, O'Hare, Regional Councillor Whalen, City staff, Thorold Fire and Emergency Services, Bethesda staff, Autism Ontario staff. This event had a great turnout. The Mosque Asia hosted their Eid al-Fitr prayer and celebration at Fireman's Park in Niagara Falls on April 10th to recognize the culmination of Ramadan. Deputy Mayor O'Hare represented the City of Thorold and was joined by Niagara Falls Mayor Jim Diodati at this event. On April 6th, I brought greetings on behalf of City Council to the 2024 Kiwanis Niagara Spelling Bee, a regional competition for the Spelling Bee of Canada. It was held at the Ovation Ballroom in Port Robinson West. There were 3 divisions, ages 6 to 14, and each division winner will represent Niagara at the National Championships in May in Toronto. There were over 100 spellers entered across 3 divisions. And I want to thank Thorold Fire and Emergency Services, our public works staff and community services staff, as well as bylaw enforcement, for your efforts in ensuring health and safety of our residents on April 8th during the solar eclipse. Even though it was cloudy, there were breaks allowing glimpses of the solar eclipse. I personally was at Mel Swart Lake Gibson Conservation Park in the area of the Indigenous Unity Garden, and there was a very good-sized crowd gathered, hoping to catch a glimpse of the eclipse. On April 10th, Manoj Dalwari and I attended the change of command ceremony and official badge presentation of the Niagara Regional Police Service. Chief Bill Forty, Deputy Chief Luigi Greco, and Deputy Chief Todd Wasilovich. The ceremony was held in the Memorial Chapel at Ridley College. On April 12th, we cut the ribbon on 2 new businesses in our downtown. Lou's Pizza and Wings and Things, which has opened in the former location of Tony's Pizza. Thank you to Aaron Dion and Kristen Dalton for choosing our downtown, and we wish you much success moving forward. Councillor Sentence, Didavitas, Regional Councillor Whalen, and BIA Chair Serge Carpino joined me at this event. Chantel A. McCollum Law Professional Corporation has opened in the former Niagara River Lion building. The River Lions have moved into 10 Albert Street East, so they still remain in Thorold as well. Chantel's practice is a much-needed addition to our downtown, and we thank her for choosing Thorold. All the best moving forward. Councillor Sentence, O'Hare, Didavitas, Regional Councillor Whalen, MPP Jeff Birch, and BIA Chair Serge Carpino joined me at this event. This morning I attended an announcement at Sir Adam Beck Hydroelectric Generating Stations, where Energy Minister Todd Smith announced that the Ontario government support of a 15-year, $1 billion plan to refurbish Sir Adam Beck and DQ generating stations beginning next year in 2025. This is fantastic news for the Niagara region. Today, Deputy Mayor Tim O'Hare attended the March of Dimes Volunteer Appreciation Luncheon held at Club Roma and presented certificates of recognition on behalf of Thorold City Council. Thank you to all the volunteers for your dedication and important service that you provide. The City of Thorold, in partnership with the Thorold Public Library and the TCAG, are excited to be hosting a community-wide cleanup for Earth Day this year. Residents, businesses, schools, and our community partners are invited to come out and help clean up litter along sidewalks, trails, and in our parks across the city. In addition, the city is inviting residents to an Earth Day event this Saturday, April 20th, from 10 to 3 p.m. at the Thorold Community Arena. And I've been given further information. It says, in partnership with Gould's Nurseries, Thorold will be giving away 100 trees to residents. Quantity is limited to one per household and available to the first 100 residents at this event, and that's this Saturday at the Thorold Community Arena. We will have several talks scheduled throughout the day focused on the environment. Topics will include a talk about native plants and pollinators, a Brock student's journey to study environmental governance, and information on the Niagara Geopark. Schedule for talks can be found on Thorold's Earth Day webpage. Habitat for Humanity will also be at the event collecting e-waste. All attendees are invited to bring their e-waste for collection and recycling at the event. There will be a variety of vendors and groups in attendance who will be marketing their environmentally friendly products and offering information on what they do, including Niagara Region Waste Management, who will be there selling collection bins. And one more thing, and that's on the National Day of Mourning is Sunday, April 28th. Flags across the city will be lowered to half-mast in honor of those who have lost their lives, suffered injury or illness on the job, or experienced a workplace tragedy. As always, maintaining a healthy and safe work environment will continue to be our top priority here in the city of Thorold. And that's the end of my mayor's remarks, and I know they were a little long, but it's been a month since the last meeting. Okay. Presentations. Up next, we have Mountain View Lemonade Day for Fax Niagara. I'll call on Brett Sweeney, Director of Communications and Community Engagement, Fax Niagara, for a presentation respecting Mountain View Lemonade Day for Fax Niagara. And can you give us introduce?
We absolutely will. My name's Caroline Palgravian. I am the chair of the foundation. Brett was unable to attend today, and he asked me to do the presentation instead, but I actually brought along my pinch hitter, and I'm hoping that you will allow him to do the presentation tonight.
Oh, absolutely, and I think he was here last year.
He was.
And did an outstanding job.
All right, I'll leave it to Jaden.
Good evening, and thank you for welcoming us to your meeting. I'm very excited to share some information about the third annual Mountain View Lemonade Day for Fax Niagara, which will take place on Saturday, June 8th. This is the third annual event, and we are hoping for once again to receive your support and endorsement in this initiative. My name is Jaden Palgrabia. The foundation has been around for over 25 years, raising money to support the mission of Fax Niagara. Fax receives government funding for core programs and services. However, the foundation exists to raise funds to further support children, youth, and families being served by the agency. The money raised by our generous donors supports programs and services for which the agency receives no government funding. A few years ago, my sister and I had an idea to build a lemonade stand. At the time, we didn't know what money really meant, so my mom helped us in suggesting an idea on donating it. As you may recall, Mountain View Lemonade Day invites families to set up a lemonade stand in their community to collect donations to support Fax and summer camp programs. Summer camp has so many social and emotional benefits that support children's positive growth and development. Thanks to our title sponsor, Mountain View Building Group, 100% of the money raised goes to sending deserving children to summer camp. And we provide everything a family needs to host a very successful lemonade stand. Here you can see a quote from our CEO. There are so many children in our community who deserve an opportunity to be with friends, connect with nature, and make lasting childhood memories. Families supported by FACTS sometimes lack the financial resources to send their children to camp. And we truly believe that all children should have the opportunity to experience these memories in childhood, which makes this event so important. This is a quote from one of our happy campers. It's hard to read. Hello, I would like to thank you all for both the camps, especially the sleep out camp. Yeah. It was very fun. I made friends, did fun activities, and learned new things. Overall, I think I definitely would like to go back next year. You can see here that this child benefited from all the summer camp had to offer, including making friends, doing fun activities, and learning new things. Last year, with the support of sponsors, families, and municipalities such as yourselves, we were able to raise more than $100,000 to send the children to camp. This year, we are hoping for an even bigger and better event that can make a positive difference in the lives of even more families. So, what did $100,000 support? Last year, we were able to give more than 500 children in the Niagara region a summer camp experience. This included sending children to week-long day camps within the region. It also includes sending children to week-long overnight camps outside the region. We also supported foster parents so they could take their children they are caring for on camping excursions. We were also able to provide more than 150 camp at-home baskets filled with everything a kid needs for a fun summer, including things like scooters, sports equipment, sprinklers, and other toys to help explore the nature and keep kids active. Family and Children's Services provides a range of services in the community to keep children safe and families strong. They serve an average of 400 children in the care each month. They provide supports and services to more than 600 families and on an ongoing basis. Summer camp is just one way that FACTS supports families by giving the kids an opportunity to make positive childhood memories, learn new things, and just have fun. We like to say lemonade day is for everyone. Thanks to our sponsors, we are able to provide everything a family needs to host a successful lemonade stand. This includes the stand itself, a banner, T-shirts and hats, lemonade concentrate, pitchers for serving, cups, and stickers. As you can see on the photo on the slide, families also decorate their own stands to make them fun and engaging for everyone. Our sponsors ensure that every dollar raised goes towards sending the kids to camp. There are no administrative fees and no direct cost to families who would like to participate. Registration will be opening on April 22nd. For more information can be found on the Foundation's website or by calling the Foundation on the number on the slide. We would be grateful for council support in raising awareness and helping to increase the number of lemonade stands in your community. We would also appreciate you sharing on your socials and any other communication channels you have. We respectfully ask you to declare Saturday, June 8th as Mountain View Lemonade Day for FACTS Niagara. Thank you so much, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Did a great job with that. I'm just asking, do you need any volunteers to help you? Can people from Thorold apply into this to help you with this? Yes?
Anyone can.
Anyone can? Great. And I just want to say, we went last year. It's a great way to spend a couple of hours. And the people of Thorold are amazing. You go to some houses, they were giving hot dogs, cupcakes, I even got a glass of wine from someone. So I encourage people from Thorold to get out there for a couple of hours because we have a great community here, and it's quite amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Great presentation. My kids are involved. It's a great endeavor. Keep coming back every year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a great presentation. The only question I have is there going to be a list of all the lemonade stands? So we could do like a tour of Thorold, and where could we find it?
I need your help.
You stumped them. On the website, there's actually going to be an interactive map, so as the kids register, it's to the closest, we don't do their addresses,
Yeah.
but we do the closest intersection. So it'll give you a roundabout where it is, but they have signs that can direct you from that intersection.
Excellent. So it'll be the tour of Thorold. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Great presentation. Thank you very much. I'll support it, and I know we'll put it out all over everywhere we can. So we'll see you next year.
Thank you.
Up next, 9.2, we have car show August 24th. The then organizer for express respecting the car show. And you have up to 10.
Thank you. It's going to be hard to follow that little man's presentation there, but I'll do my best. Great job. Great job you're doing. Anyway, Mr. Mayor, Council, City staff, thanks for having me here today. If you don't know me, my name's Anthony Venery, lifelong resident here in Thorold. I've been involved with a lot of community events over the last 30 plus years. We started the Italian Festival, ran that for about 10 years. We started the Canada Day in the park, and I spearheaded the Canada flags to put Thorold as the most patriotic city in Canada for a bunch of years. Anyway, I'm back in the saddle here today. I believe that we could use some more events in the city. I hear it all the time. So I'm partnering up basically with an amazing foundation, the Niagara Peninsula Foundation for Children. It's along kind of the same lines as my little friend here. We take care of children. Well, they started off taking care of children, but they've kind of expanded a little bit more. And in the presentation package, you can see I got a mission statement from Jack Foster, who's the one of the leaders of the foundation. So they do a lot of different, donating to a lot of different things. And if you can see on the list, there's a lot of places in Thorold that the money ends up, which I was pleasantly surprised to see. They help the schools. They do breakfast, lunch for students that can't afford to have breakfast, lunch. They clothed 800 kids last year with winter coats, boots, and hats. They've donated to the autism, which is here in Thorold, Wellsprings, Community Crew. You know, they donated there and actually replaced a fridge, a commercial fridge that they were in desperate need of replacing so they can continue their charity there. So basically what I'm looking to do is looking to have an event in the Battle of Beaver Dams Park. Once I came up with the idea, I got a phone call from a car buff who's a friend of mine, who asked to partner up with me to do an exotic car show as well. So it went from, 5 to 11. Now it'll be from like approximately 10 in the morning till 11. So we do a car show probably from 10 to 2 or 3. Then we would clear out the park, and then have a ticketed event from about 4:30. Gates would open. First act would go on at about 5:30. 3 bands, 2 local bands. One which is very popular local band, which is having their 25th anniversary party with us that evening. And I'm working in negotiations with a headliner, which has been at the top of the charts in the past. I can't really say who it is because I'm in negotiations, and that could benefit their side of the negotiations if it kind of gets out there. I would really like your support in doing this. I think that you guys did a great job in the Battle of Beaver Dams Park, and I've heard it many times that we should use it a little bit more or a lot more. And I think that this day would bring out the community to a great event there in the park. We could make it an annual event if all is well. And the charity, there's nobody that's paid in the charity. 100% goes to organizations, and they even donate, as you can see on the list. They actually are a foundation, a charity that donates to other charities that might not have the fundraising capability or in need of, to keep their charity going. So they've expanded quite a bit, and it's just an amazing organization that basically supports a lot of different types of organizations. For that day, basically, it would be, so we'd do donations for the car show to get in, donation to the charity, and then after it'd be a ticketed event from when we open the gates at 4:30, first act to go on at 5:30, and we'll go till 11. I'm not sure how much more, if there's any questions that
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Anthony, for coming in. Just a simple question. What are you asking for?
Okay, I thought that was already in the package there. But so basically, I met with Dave and Jacob and Steve Santo. So basically, we went over a needs and wants kind of list. And so basically, we've came down to the city supplying, obviously, the park and band shell to be used, fencing to fence off the one side of the park so that it's a totally fenced venue, porta potties, garbages and recycling, picnic tables, and I'm asking for a $5,000 partnership for the event.
And with the date, is that a fixed date, or is that flexible, or how did you come to the 24th of August?
As you may or may not know, when you're booking these acts, you don't really have a lot of say because, and it might seem like there's a lot of time between now and then, but acts are booked, years in advance. So we're coming up with this, and we're in negotiations with one headliner right now. We have 3 options, but the date is pretty well set. Like, you pick the month, and then you see what you can get on the date. So I would say it's set.
Okay. All right, I'll leave that for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the presenter, are you planning on selling alcohol at the event?
Yes.
So if you're selling alcohol at the event, then the council, we'd have to pass a motion to make it a significant municipal event of that sort. So that would be the first hurdle. And then you're asking for $5,000 security.
Security, I have a security company that works basically Budweiser Stage, Scotia Bank Center, big venues like that. So professional, bonded, secured security.
Okay, just prison, insurance, liability.
Insurance.
You're gonna have to have insurance and apply the city with insurance.
So we have, surprisingly enough, with the foundation carries $5 million which you can ride as a, what is it, third party attached to. So they carry that.
Okay. And the other, I appreciate the fact, and then if the city was to put money forward, there'd have to be a financial statement, I would believe, would probably have to come forward too with numbers as to what the monies would be used for. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I believe, if I could, to the Director of Finance, would there be some type of,
Through you, Mr. Mayor, would have come through community grants,
Yeah.
and there would be a obligation to provide financial statement.
okay, thank you. So then, I'll wait for the questions and comment further when it comes to the floor for further action.
Councillor Dendovines.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Welcome, Anthony. If we come to this agreement, do you have any problem with Thorold becomes official partner of Niagara Peninsula Foundation for Children for this event? And we get plastered in all your media, everything you do, we're the official partner?
Of course, no problem at all.
And I have a couple of questions. Are you going to license the whole entire park or just a drinking area?
Nope, the whole park.
And another question, when the band starts at 5, do kids 16 and under come in for free with their parents, or does everybody have to pay for a ticket?
We haven't really decided that. Normally, it's a paid ticket event. We haven't really decided on that.
I'm glad you're already talking about doing it next year, because even if it goes okay next year, I know we can build this and to make it a great event where it'd be a no-brainer every year people come to this. I think this event will help tell people in Niagara everywhere that Thorold Beaver Dams Park is open for business, and I look forward to working with you because we need to get some events in that park. And if we can nail down 5 or 6 events where we do every year, it'll be a lot easier to keep that park busy, and it's going to help the BIA, and that's what we want to do in downtown Thorold.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go to Councillor Decker online and then to Councillor D'Angelo. Go ahead, Councillor Decker.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Anthony, thank you so much for your presentation. I'm really glad to see that we're going to finally get our park utilized for other events in Thorold. And I think that, partnering with the Niagara Peninsula Children's Center's really, really fantastic idea. I was just wondering, do you have a cost on what the tickets would be for the event yet, or are you still working that out? I'm totally in favor of what you're doing, and if you need volunteers for that day, please let us know. I'd love to participate in your event as well.
Yeah, thank you for that. We're thinking approximately $20, $15 to $20. We're going to do online, so that's kind of the little bit of a catch there because they add their fee, and we don't want it to be outrageous. So once I figure out what their fee is, I'm trying to keep it, let's say, under $20.
That's pretty reasonable. Hopefully it'll come, and I think it'll bring a lot of people out in the community and hopefully outside the community to participate in this event. So thanks, Anthony, for bringing this to the table.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Decker. Go ahead, Councillor D'Angelo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A lot of my questions have been answered, but I'm very supportive of the idea. I think from a council perspective, I think we need to direct this to staff to come back with a report outlining some of the questions that were asked in terms of insurance, in terms of making it a community designated event so that alcohol can be served. So there's a lot of little items that have to be cleaned up, even costs associated, because there's quite a bit of items that are asked for, like what is the exact cost of that, because they're asking for porta potties, fencing. From a council perspective, we can't just jump on that and say, yes, let's go ahead and do this. I think we have to be reasonable, and I think if we could direct staff to come back with a report, hopefully by, I'm not sure if our next council meeting's in 2 weeks or a month.
3 weeks.
3 weeks. That might be a quick turnaround, but as quickly as possible to come back with further information to support this activity so it can move forward. And I know also the finance would probably want some idea of numbers in terms of what it's going to cost us. And exactly what some of the details will be in terms of how it's going to move forward. So in principle, I'm very, very supportive, but I think we need a little bit more detail to make sure as they say, the Ts are crossed and the Is are dotted, so that we're all moving forward in a positive sense, so.
You're asking for a staff report back as soon as possible, and I'll find out from staff, but do I need to get a seconder for that? I got Councillor Longo. So now, staff, what is it, can you do, what's a turnaround on this? Obviously, it's time sensitive, but,
Through you, Mr. Mayor, depending on the availability of information, we'll try and get it back to the next council. We understand there's a need to get some lead time on this and coordinate it, but if we can't make May 7th, it'll be May 28th.
go ahead, Councillor Sutton.
That's right, I just
Oh,
wanted
sorry.
to, just finish off on, because I know tonight we're passing community grants, and there's not enough money to meet all the community grants, so obviously, there's no money for this event, so one of the things I'd like to see come back in the report is how it's gonna be financed and where the money's gonna come from the city perspective. That's very critical from a council perspective. Thank you.
That would be included in the report. Yes, it will. Go ahead, Councillor Sentence, and then I'll go to Councillor Longo.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, great idea. Love utilizing the park that we did. I think you told me before that we would also, you'd look at a portion of the proceeds going to Thorold Community Care as well.
Yep, we can do that.
That could be done. I really like this, but I can tell you in talking with Anthony May 28th is just way too late. Even the next council meeting with his negotiations, is there any way to put something together quicker, or is that too much, Jeff?
Can we get it for the next meeting? Let's put it down.
Yeah, like the 2 meetings is just way too far. Or can you talk about it, Anthony, or?
Yeah, so basically, like I said before, I'm negotiating with a headliner that basically travels North America, and I really don't have a lot of time. I'm in negotiations with him right now, and once we nail that, the show needs to go on somewhere. So I really don't have a lot of time, and I know, it's obviously, I didn't know the whole procedure as far as the City Hall is concerned. But time sensitive, really time sensitive, because I need to either, take it or leave it when the proposal comes back, which I'm expecting in a few days. So I need to know that I have a venue per se. I'm a little confused on like, is it like, can the venue be confirmed? Like, I'm just a little confused on, a couple things. So I've asked for porta potties, fencing, and I believe Dave has some pricing already for that. Is it the sponsorship that holds this, that ties this up, or does it all go together?
I'll let staff chime in. I would say based on what we normally do, everything's tied together so that there's a wholesome, full report. Council then can make a decision based on not just the 5,000, what's the total integrated cost, and that's just the way we do business, especially when it's a budgetary item like this.
Right.
And if I'm speaking out of line, would you agree with what I said, Maria? Is that basically, or Jeff?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think it really is two parts. I agree with Councillor D'Angela that this does warrant a staff report. I would suggest that anything that's incremental would be part of the consideration, but things that perhaps are more in kind that we're not incurring additional costs could be addressed separately.
Okay, thank you. Are you finished, Councillor Sentence, or do you want to continue before I go on?
No, I just wanted to, and I know I'm putting you under the gun here, Jeff, but like you said, it won't happen if we wait 2 meetings. If possible, if we could get it for the next meeting, that would be, or if we could confirm the date. Are we allowed to confirm the date for the park forum, or?
Through Mr. Mayor, what I can commit to is an update at the next council meeting as to where we are. I have control over the information that we can provide, but there's other information that's outstanding that needs to come from the promoter, and we need to get that in a timely fashion. So if we
you'll
can
work
get it in
with
and turn it around, that's great. Obviously,
Anthony? Okay.
he's interested in moving this as quickly as we can, and we'll do our best. I just,
I know you can't guarantee,
too
but he needs to know as well, so if you can work with him, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, I got Councillor Longo and then Councillor Hanley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, Anthony, thanks for the presentation. I support events like this to bring the community together. I think it'd be a great idea. I do have one question for you. You mentioned a lot of needs you need from the city, fencing, porta potties, and so on, and then you mentioned $5,000. Is that your anticipated amount for all of these items, or is it the items plus $5,000 you need?
The items plus.
Okay, so it's a substantial amount of money here. You know, again, I know you're under the gun here trying to get things booked, but from our perspective, and this is my comment, we need to make sure we do things properly. There's a lot of liability issues here with insurance. We need to make sure our insurance lines up with your insurance, things of that nature. And I'd really feel a lot more comfortable with staff coming back with a wholesome report, itemizing everything, and then seeing, first of all, if something we want to go ahead with, and then where the money comes from. That's something we need to do as a council. We just passed our budget. This would be an overrun we'd be looking at. So it's very, very quick. I just wish this would have come a few months before, during budget. It may have been done by now, but that's just my comment at this point.
Yeah, thank you. Like I said, I didn't know. We kind of just came up with an idea over a lunch, basically, and so, like I said, the Niagara Peninsula for Foundation for Children, they carry the insurance for their events.
And again, I respect that, but again, I need staff to give us their opinion and their guidance. That's what they do for us. So I'm not saying the insurance isn't there, but we need to make sure we do things that protect the city of Thorold. And again, a great event. I'm hoping it comes together. In the event it doesn't, then let's plan for next year if that's what we have to do, and be well prepared with our community event coordinator and so on. Okay, but hopefully we can work this out in 3 weeks' time.
Thank you. Councillor Hanley, you had your hand up before I go over to...
No, we're good. Councillor Sutton asked what I was asking.
Okay, I got Councillor O'Hara over here then. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one more question, Anthony. Is this, and by the way, I truly support all events in Beaver Dams Park, just as everyone here does. It's a great park and we should be utilizing it more. But the question is this a concert venue that's going to be geared for only Thoroldites, or is this going to be advertised across Niagara? Are you going to be drawing in visitors? How do you perceive that?
Yeah, so it's definitely. I mean, I want to label it Thorold because that's who we are, right? And that's where it's going to be. But it's going to be all over social media. I have radio stations on board. Like I said, I've done community events, big community events in the past. So we get as much marketing out as we can, and of course, people from everywhere. Once the headliner gets announced, there'll be people from everywhere coming.
Fantastic. That's what we're looking for. Thank you.
Okay, is there any further questions? Go ahead, Councillor DeAngelo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, I just don't want to seem like it's all about money here, but we've just passed our budget, and we've tried to keep it very modest in terms of what the taxpayers are paying. You'll see tonight, if you stay for the rest of the council meeting, there's going to be 2 more budget overruns. So we're constantly being given budget overruns here at council, and we're trying to do the best to make sure that we do everything we can So I guess my question sort of goes back. The 5,000, because now I know the clarity is it's addition to what we can provide in some of the other amenities. Is that like a real deal breaker, or can that be reduced so we can make this event happen this year? When we go into budget next year, we can plan for this a lot better for a secondary year, and then you can look at things a little differently. I'm all for trying to get the event going, so you try to cut as many costs at the beginning to get it going to make it successful, and then second, third year, it becomes easier, and you could do more, and it becomes easier because you can plan it through council. Like I said, we're gonna be hit with budget, like, we've only passed our budget just within a month, so we're gonna be hit with budget overruns for the whole year that we're trying to deal with it to make our community better. So we don't want to say no, but we also have to be careful in how we spend money. And I'm trying to get that message out because, like I said, it's not all about the money, but you'll see the seniors here tonight. We're going to be giving them some money, which rightfully so, because we're supporting them. So we're trying to make sure that we support as many causes as possible. Sometimes that causes a reduction in some of the grants that are asked for. I couldn't pull up the report right away, but if someone could give me the numbers, I think we had like, was it 250,000 that was asked for community grants, and we supplied what was like 70,000. So we had to make some decisions there because there's just not enough money for everybody. So yes, we want to support this event, but is there a way that you can sort of help us help you make the event happen without hitting us with so much up front in the first year? So that, I don't need an answer from you, but just so you think about.
I'd like to answer that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a deal breaker. I really don't. But, you know, having done community events in Thorold, you know, numerous times, and I was made aware of this community grant, actually. So that's kind of where I was heading to get a part of this community event grant. You know, the support that the city is giving or is planning on giving with the rest of the stuff, you know, I truly appreciate that. And if it comes down to a reduced cost, that's why I was saying before, like, you know, the grant was available only to find out today that you've basically exhausted the grant, right? So, I mean, that's why I was saying, you know, does it have to be a whole package, or can we agree on what I asked for other than the money? And then, you know, basically go from there.
And I would recommend that's something you work with staff with and then for the report. Yeah.
Mayor.
Okay?
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I got Councilor
sorry.
Benavides and then you. Are you, no, first of all, are you done, Councilor DeAngelo?
Yeah, I just, like I said, I just want to let people know that, you know, we're not here always to say no. We're here to help. We're here to move things forward, but we're limited in the funds we have. We don't have money trees growing in the backyard. So it's more we could spread out and make more events happen. And then next year, we've gone through our strategic plan. Next year, council then could allocate more funds to community grants, which makes it easier. So I'm just trying to help educate the process to make it easier, because like next month we might have someone else that comes here asking for some money also, and would have to explain the process. So that's the point I just want to get across. It's not like I want to be negative and say no, but we have to be cautious in how we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Benavides.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I agree, we have to do our due diligence, the city has to do that. But Anthony, ever think about trying to get a sponsorship, somebody to help, like phoning the fence company, see if they'll donate the fence, a porta potty company, if they'll donate the porta potty, especially with such a huge charity in Niagara. They're very well known, they know everyone. Maybe even a financial contribution from one of the businesses in the area. In the meantime, you have 2 or 3 weeks to look for that. And when we come back, we'll have an answer. Maybe you might have a different answer saying, hey, I raised $3,000. I got the fences donated. Just to work a little bit together with us, and it might make this process a little easier if you're bringing some money to the table too. And I know some businesses probably would give you some money for this.
Yeah, thank you for that. This event, you know, we're just starting to put together some numbers. It's going to cost me probably $15,000 to $20,000. All right, so like I said, we are gonna look for sponsors. We need to look for sponsors, to make sure that we can donate some money or end up in the green and give some money to these charities. So again, you know, the porta potties and the fencing, if the city can do that and kind of basically, which I think Dave has pricing for, I don't know how to, like, I don't want to sound, you know, pushy in any way, shape, or form, but it is so time sensitive. And I really, you know, I'm here because I really want to have it in the city of Thorold. Like, you know, so.
Okay, I got Councillor Hanley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, I listen to our fellow councilors here and that stuff, and I sit here and I ask myself, we have a, I don't mean to sound critical or negative, but we have a community events coordinator that we pay very well in the city. I hear no mention of her, not that she's been contacted. He brought a presentation forward. He actually had to submit his name. It's very well known what he's here for. But you know this, I don't hear anything about our community events coordinator. Why isn't she been involved? That's who needs to be involved in this. And I believe that the community events coordinator, in conjunction with Mr. Venry there, should have brought or been in discussion and brought a report forward. I don't mean to sound negative, but we do have a community events coordinator in this city, and it has been mentioned once, her involvement with this, and it was known on Thursday. And again, I don't mean to be negative, but we need to connect here in this municipality so events like this can happen. And, you know, not that it's been mentioned, I don't know if she's been a part of it, but from what I understand, it hasn't, and all these councilors were all asking questions, and we have an individual that works for the city who should be here to possibly maybe answer those questions or to give us some insight as to what we should do. And I don't mean to sound negative, but we just hired 24 individuals in this city, and one of them is an events coordinator that we just recently hired in the last year or so, and nowhere to be found. Sorry, but I have to say it.
I think that's, that this event, once it works through staff, then our coordinator can get involved. I think that's, you know. But I don't know if that position
And make a
is it even
connection.
filled yet?
We need to make a
It's
connection.
not filled yet.
Huh?
That position is upcoming very soon, okay?
I believe, I thought we already had an individual on staff at one time.
No, we got
When we
community
had,
relations, but not
doing
an
the
events
market.
coordinator.
When we were doing the market, did we not have an individual on staff?
The person, like Jacob Tedasco, he was doing community, he was working as a program coordinator in the past, but now he has taken on the role of this special events coordinator. The position for program coordinator is to be filled, and we have selected a candidate, and the person is going to join us on May 6th.
Okay, I apologize. I didn't know Mr. Tedesco had moved up. I didn't see any memo that he had a promotion.
Go ahead, Maria.
Through Mr. Mayor, just respectfully, you know, staff has been criticized in the past when we kind of run with these things without getting council approval. So I think the appropriate course of action would have been what we're doing here tonight. You come to council, you give us authorization, as opposed to we run with it and then we get our wrist slapped because why did we do it without council? Okay.
Well, not saying that's why I asked about insurance. That's why I asked about liability. That's why I asked about a liquor license, because I know the procedure, but I wasn't aware that the person who was in charge of the position was no longer there. That's news to me tonight. So I was the concern that we're talking about a community event, and how come an individual who I was figured as a counselor was responsible for that position has not had no input into it or wasn't communicated with. If I could ask you, Mr. Mayor and Mr. Venry, did anybody from the city in regards to community events coordinator contact you or anything once you put a notice motion forward that you want to come to council and make a presentation tonight?
Well, I met a couple weeks ago. I was
Other than Dave Baldoni?
and Jacob and
Okay.
Steve Santos were the three people I met with, and I only followed the lead of who I was
Okay.
told to contact.
Okay, and it's just that
Then
through
we
the whole
got a motion-
discussion,
we
through
got
the
a
whole
motion on the
discussion, it
floor.
wasn't discussed. So I don't, like I said, I didn't mean to be negative, it's just that I hadn't heard anything about
Okay.
an events coordinator being a part of it, and we're directing everything to Jeff Holman, when we have an individual who I figured was hired within the city that was responsible for that.
So now we know where we're situated.
So much wasn't on his plate.
Yeah, but we know where we're situated. We know we have a motion on the floor for a staff report, and we had a seconder. We've had a wholesome discussion. Before I call the vote, is there anything further?
Mr. Mayor, I just want to, because the accountant in me wants to correct the numbers, just so that the general public knows, there was $850,000 that was asked for community grants. Our budget was $36,850. That was staff. Oh, sorry, that was staff recommendation, and that leaves us a budget surplus of $45. So the one thing I want to point out is that I do thank you for coming, because you've given a lot of thought into next year's budget, is to allocate a bit more money to community grants. So if someone comes, the decision to do the event is a lot easier if we have extra funds there put aside for expanding events at the Battle of Beaver Dams Park, which will be part of our strategic plan. So that's how all things sort of fit together. Just trying to give you a bit more information here. So I just wanted to point that out. And again, very supportive of moving forward. We have to work within our means. Thank you.
Okay, so Anthony, thank you for your presentation. We have a motion on the floor. We had a mover and a seconder to bring back a staff report as early as possible, and we're aiming for the next council meeting, okay? Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Once again, thank you, Anthony. Okay, we'll move on to items for consent. We got items 11.1 through 11.9. Can I get a mover and a seconder, and then I'll ask who wants a, I got a mover, Councillor Senton, seconder, Councillor O'Hare. And that's gonna be used for all the motions. What, are we pulling any motions? Go ahead, Councillor O'Hare.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to pull 11-1.
Okay. I seen Councillor DeAngie, you had your hand up?
No, Mr. Mayor, it was in the next section. I know the seniors are here. I was just pull that to the top, but that's in under items for consideration.
That's under items for
Yeah, so I'm
consideration.
a step ahead of myself.
Okay.
Thank you.
I got 11.1. Anything else? Councillor Sentence.
Yeah, just a question, Mr. Mayor. 11.5, do we need to make a choice on that, or?
11.5, yes, we do. We'll deal with that one separate. That's a good point.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, okay. So, I'll start.
I just need a bit of clarity. We have items for consent and then items for consideration. Like, my thought of consent is items that are usually housekeeping nature items. They don't involve large financial numbers, so you pass them relatively quickly. A lot of them are information reports. But like Councillor Sentence mentioned, that we have a report on here that's asking for an option. Should that not be under consideration as opposed to consent? So maybe if we could look at that a little bit more, because I'm seeing more and more mixture of these, and I think it's a bit it can be confusing, because my understanding consent is easy, quick, not a lot of debate, move them forward. We're dumping a little too many of those into that section, so just
No,
food
it's a
for
good
thought.
point well taken, but we are pulling that, and we will discuss that, okay? Okay, so I got 11.2, 11.3, 11.4, 11.6, 11.7, 11.8, and 11.9. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. So now we're going to 11.1, and Councillor O'Hare, you pulled that one. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll keep this brief. Just a few facts. This was pulled from council correspondence, and when a cemetery gets abandoned or transferred to the municipality, it becomes the responsibility of the municipality to upkeep it. All the maintenance costs, all the research, anything that's associated with that cemetery falls back onto the municipality. As churches or cemetery boards no longer can afford the high maintenance cost of cemeteries, they frequently walk away from this responsibility, and the cost falls upon the municipal taxpayer. This is more prevalent today than ever before. So Thorold, for many of you who don't know, at present has 9 cemeteries. outside of Lakeview Cemetery. So these are cemeteries that must be maintained, must be looked after, must be kept track of. And I'd like to ask council to support the resolution of Punslich Council, Take Township, Clearview Township, and the town of Kearney regarding cemetery administration. And these are the 4 points that they've put forward in their motion. Have the province become owner or operator of abandoned cemeteries. Provide funding for maintenance assistance. Provide free training regarding cemetery admin, and number 4, investigate and support design of cemetery software that can be used by all. For your information, maintenance records or inactives are still required on all these cemeteries. So I just ask council to support this motion, and perhaps in the future the province will take an active hand in supporting our cemeteries.
Thank you. Councillor Hanley, did you want to speak on that? Go ahead.
I'm going to support it because there's actually 10.
Oh.
It's funny, you know, Councillor Hare brought this forward, and I had been out some time ago. I had some logs, and I went to a individual in Thorold here that lives by Angers Hill and saw the logs for me. And while I was there, I discovered that there was a cemetery there that had been bulldozed over. I'd given some information, sent an email just now. I talked to Jeff and Sean afterwards, but I was contacted by an individual, and that there's actually a cemetery that was in the mid-50s, was the property was owned by what they called the Goldspink and the Reeves family. And there was an old 2-story home there, several barns. It was situated actually what we know now as Angers Hill. The individual does have pictures with a overhang where it says Overholt Cemetery. In about 1957 or 58, a guy named Harry Anger purchased the property. The existing house was demolished, the barns were burnt down, and at this time, Mr. Anger, he actually bulldozed the Overholt Cemetery, pushing the cemetery over the edge of the hill into a shallow ravine. So some tombstones have been recovered. We figured that the excavation was down to a depth of 2 to 3 feet. So, as Councillor Hare said, and I know they figured, he wrote me today actually, he said the cemetery included well over 100 burial sites and tombstones, primarily the Overholt family. I do have a picture of the actual entrance to the cemetery, which was a stone and steel structure with gates displaying the name Overholt Cemetery in large steel letters. So I do support it, because I do believe these were probably individuals that were from Upper Canada, probably fought in World War, in the War of 1812. Maybe been Quakers, who knows back then. It's an important part of our history in Thorold. St. John's, that's the area that it's in. St. John was one of the first developed areas in Thorold with the creeks and the running of grist mills and whatever. So I've sent some information to Sean Dunsmore just tonight and that stuff, and Jeff Holm in regards to it. So we may have another cemetery, and I read the Cemetery Act myself over the last couple of days in regards to we may have a responsibility for that. And Mr. Overholt and the present owner of the land, I believe, is willing to work with the city, if their case may be, to reinstitute this cemetery that was basically bulldozed over. And there's some information here that at some time ago, just to let you know, that some inquiries were made to the government, to our presumptive legislator at the time, but nothing was done about it. So,
Okay, thank you.
seeing that had come up by Councillor Hare, I do support it.
So we had a mover and a seconder for that motion. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, that's carried. And then we have one more, and that is 11.5, and that's regarding the tender award for Sullivan Park Playground replacement. Councillor Sentence, you pulled that because you noticed there's options that we need to look at.
Right.
And if we can get that put up on the screen, that would be great. Okay, so there's the figures. Now there's options. Those are the costs, and the one whether if we want to do the whole job or is that,
These are the recommendations as were written in the report, Mr. Mayor, so we can add if there's anything else as an amendment.
so those are the recommendations, but was there not something there about options?
Yeah.
Yes, so what you're looking for is council can put forward a motion to amend this to include one of those, whatever the option they
Or
prefer.
we do the full thing, and this is everything.
This is
correct?
everything. This is the
This
recommendations
is a
as,
recommendation to do it all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay, if we don't want to do it all, we go to the options, correct?
correct.
Okay. Go ahead, Councilor
Through you, Mr. Mayor.
DeVito.
It's an option 3, do it all, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead, Councilor D'Angelo.
Again, when I was reading through the report, again, it's not clear here, if we're doing it all, are we going over budget?
Yes, are we going over budget? And I'll ask Maria to comment on that.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, not my report, but what you're approving here is staff's massaging the project to stay within budget. This is not doing it all. This is staff's opportunity to work within the budget that was provided.
Go ahead, Councilor.
Well, that's music to my ears, because again, we're living within our means, staff has worked it around. We're not always gonna get everything we want, but we have to make sure that, again, there's gonna be a lot of budget overruns. This one's not gonna be one, so I'm glad to hear that, and I'm glad staff put a little extra effort to do that. And then again, if there's items that are missing, they can always be added later, be it, there'll be requests for other areas, but this is something that could be noted for our budget next year, if it's something that is easily taken out and then added later. Because I know it's quite extensive what's being done here. It's a revamping of the whole park with trails, with playground equipment, splash pads. It's not just a paint over, it's basically building a new park. Thank you.
Go ahead, Councilor Hanley, and then Councilor Sen.
Yeah, I gotta say, I support it. I know that the last time the park was done was in 1996. I was actually the chairman of the Freddie McNamara Sullivan Park Restoration Fund. The city allowed us to go in there. That's when the first splash pad in Thorold was built, was at Sullivan Park. We built new washrooms then. We put new dugouts in because Steve Santos actually was here. He was the guy that built the dugouts. Crumpy Crawford used to work for the city. He put the roof on. Bill Bardolini donated the trusses so we could build the dugouts. Done them at McMillan and Sullivan. Mountain View Homes, you know, they were here tonight. Just to give you credit, Mountain View Homes, Mark Bastiano built us a mini dollhouse that Bob Lidico at the time worked for the city. We drove around the city with it on a flatbed. We sold $14,000 worth of tickets. And that's how we refurbished Sullivan Park back in 1996. So the city's now putting up the funds and that to see it happen. At the time, Mayor Mel Woodhouse put us to a challenge. We met that challenge and the city donated the rest of the money. And it is what it is today, but the time for an upgrade is definitely now, and I support it 100%.
Go ahead, Councilor Sentence, and then Councilor Long.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I support this. Just curious through staff, I didn't see, what did we lose or what did we not do?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, generally what we were not doing is a fitness area over on the west end of the park and the trail that runs up to it.
Okay, so that is something that could potentially be added later?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll support this.
Councilor Longo, and then I had Councilor Decker online. Go ahead, Councilor Decker.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I'm 100% for this, and I'm glad to see that it is finally happening. And I want to thank staff for all the hard work that went into getting this to the table. And I know that a lot of the neighbors in that area, and especially the kids, are so looking forward to having that park done. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilor DeVito, go ahead.
I support this and agree with my Councilor D'Angelo. It's hard to do everything all at once. We're doing 90% of it. And I understand Thorold is the 8th fastest growing city in Canada, 4th in Ontario. So many people 25 to 35 are moving to Thorold, and the parks are essential, and it's such a main thing we have to do in Thorold is focus on our parks, get them updated, and this is a great start. So I think this is going to make a lot of people happy.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councilor DeRose.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I support it 100%. I think it's a great idea. It's one of the parks me and my kids hit. It's my old neck of the woods, and a lot of fond memories of growing up at Sullivan Park. So I support it 100%. I think it's a good thing for the community, for the neighborhood, I think it's a great endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Go ahead, Councillor DeAngelo.
Yeah, last point I just wanted to make, great comments by the counselors, but it's such a great park because it's very synergistic. It has baseball amenities there, so when parents are coming, and it's the lower age groups when they come to play baseball, so those kids then after the game are going through the splash pad, playing with the playground equipment, or parents that have multiple children, while someone's playing baseball, they're out there playing with their kids. So that's the type of investments that we need to make in our community that benefit everybody that's using the facility. So moving forward, this is a great thing for Thorold.
Okay, so we got a mover and a seconder. Everybody had a chance to speak. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, so we're moving on to items for consideration. The first item has been withdrawn. 12.2, public engagement software implementation. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that? Councillor Sentence, can I get a seconder? I got Councillor Ditavitas. Is there any discussion on that report? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 12.3, PWCS 21-2024, material testing services and geotechnical investigations, 5 years. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that report, please? Councillor O'Hare and Councillor Longo. Is there any discussion on that report? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And 12.4, PWCS 25-2024, Thorold Senior Center Association Lease Agreement. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Councillor DeAngelo and Councillor Sentence. Is there any discussion on this report? Go ahead, Councillor DeRose.
Yeah, I just have one question. I'm looking at Schedule C. It talks about the budget for...
Sorry, microphone.
Sorry. Through Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I'm looking at the Schedule C in Appendix 2, and it talks about program totals for the next 5 years. And I just had a question as to why 2024 jumps to 2025 and it increases, I guess, operating costs increase 63%. So I just, if someone can explain why.
I'll who wants to speak, but I'm guessing it's because of the year. Point in the year, if you want to go ahead and.
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's recognizing where we.
No, it's okay. No.
That's all right.
I can't let you speak. You're not listed as a delegation, sorry. It's not that we don't want to hear you, you know.
Perhaps, Mr. Mayor, Lori can jump in if I'm incorrect, but it has to do with where we are in our in the current year, and the jump up will be to cover the full cover of the cost in next year's budget.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Councillor DeAngelo.
Mr. Mayor, can we waive the procedural bylaw and allow someone from the seniors to speak? To me, this is a good news story, and if they have any comments that they'd like to make, because I know staff work very diligently over a long period of time, so I'd hate to take, and we have a great turnout here. It's usually they have pitchforks and other stuff when they come. Today, they don't have them here, so.
Well, if this doesn't pass, the pitchforks will be out for me next time I go to the seniors.
My dad told me if I don't vote for it, he's cut me out of my inheritance.
Okay, that's a fair comment, so I need a mover and a seconder to waive the procedural bylaw, which takes 2/3, you know that. Councillor DeAngelo and Councillor Longo. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, so, do you want to ask questions to anyone from the senior
No,
center?
I will let them pick their designated individual.
Or anyone from
if
this,
They want to say a few comments or.
Yeah, no, I'll, State your name and position. I know your name and position, but I'm going to ask you to state it for the record.
Thank you. My name is Brenda Bader, and I'm the president of the Thorold Senior Center. Thank you so much for what, I don't know if it's done yet, or...
No, it's not done
It's
yet.
not done yet.
Don't
Maybe I should
don't
sit
be
down for
thanking
a
anyone
minute.
yet.
Just to tell you that what you're about to do, and I hope you do it, is going to change a lot of lives in the way of social isolation, food insecurities. There are so many things that we are accomplishing at the senior center, I can't even begin to tell you. And we want it to be all-encompassing. We want all of the seniors in this town to be able to come. And we're hoping in the next year or so that there will be no fee for anyone to come in our doors, that they can come in and we can fundraise, we can do as much as we can do on our own, so that we can give them what they really, really need. This center is more than a place to come and play bingo, and more than a place to just hang out. It really makes a difference in your life. When my husband died in 2022, it was bad enough that I couldn't be with him when he died because of COVID. But I stayed at home for the first 6 months. You don't know what you're going to do with your life. You've been married for 52 years. That's your partner. That's the only thing that you've ever known. You don't eat the same. You don't go to groceries the same. You don't do anything the same. So I decided one day to come to the senior center, and it was a spring bazaar, and I met Rob, Laura Hughes, our treasurer, her brother. He just kind of said, okay, come on in, look around, see what you want to do. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And before you know it, I was on the board. And that's all she wrote, and here I am almost 2 years later, and we're going to town.
Brenda, could you also just explain, I mean, I know because I'm the liaison for the senior center, but on all the partnerships you've formed and working with the TCAG, the library, various
Yes.
age-friendly and different things that you're doing.
That's what we've done. Let me start by saying thank you to Jean. She's not here, she's on vacation. But she kind of pushed us together, that and this gentleman sitting right in front of me, Mr. Jeff Holman. They pushed us together in a very good way. And we really became partners. And I'm not just saying that because it's partners, but in Thorold, we know what partners are. We know who we are and what we're going to do for the town. That's just how we are and who we are. But we started forming partnerships, and we didn't realize what good they were going to do. And so we formed a partnership with the library, with TCAG, with the garden club, with Leslie right behind me. We also work with United Way. We have a grant out there right now to work with the Grand Pals, which is, there's only 2 in Canada they're giving out, and we're in the running as one of them. And that is to marry up together seniors and students at the school. So we're talking to Prince of Wales, we're talking to Ontario Street Schools, and we're going to partner up with them so we can go into classes and kind of given our version of what our life has been like for the last number of years. And then they teach us what we need to know from their perspective. So there's so many things that are going on, I can't even begin to tell you. So just a lot of partnerships and continued partnerships.
Thank you, Brenda. Go ahead, Councillor O'Hare.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to follow an example that Councillor Longo taught me. This deserves as much respect as I can give you. The work you do at the Senior Center is outstanding. Many of you know I'm new to Thorold. I have been to the events at the Senior Center, and it is mind-blowing how successful you are. So with all my heart, keep up the great work, and I hope we can all fully support you.
Thank you so much. It takes a whole group of people. It takes a whole group of people to get us where we are. It's not one person, it's all of us together knowing that we have one thing in common. We're at this end of life and we want to have some fun while we're doing it, so.
Go ahead,
Yes.
Councillor DeAngelo, and then I'm going to go over here. I got Counselor Hanley and Counselor DeRose.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate my council allowing Brenda to be the spokesperson this evening. I knew this was a good news story. You got my support, so you got one vote for sure here, and I'm sure you're going to get many more. But I just also want to echo the sentiments. Like, you've done a wonderful job there. I can't exactly remember the year this was built. I don't know if it was 2012, 2014, somewhere around there. 2014. So it's been a decade. And for those that were around or remember, it was a sore spot in our community. It divided that building divided our community. There was a big fight over it because of City Hall moving here. Then it finally ended up becoming a senior center. And to my day, I'm very proud to say I was part of this process, but you guys are the ones that pushed it, elevated it, that this has now become a home for the seniors. And now people could go there without cost, people could enjoy it. That was what it was meant to be. It took us a while to get there for those that supported this project. Some did not, but we finally got there, because compared to what the seniors building was prior to moving there, was not what it should have been. But we just put the bricks and mortars up, but it was the past decade of the seniors that were involved in there have made it what it is today. And that's why I commend you and everyone else that works there. And that's why I wanted you to speak on this, because to me, being a Thoroldite all my life, it means a lot to me to see what it's become. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Counselor Hanley.
Yeah, I just want to say, I know what it means to my dad.
Oh,
He wins a lot of draws there. I think he's the most winningest guy at the senior center. But my dad was senior citizens of the year, he's volunteer of the year. He's out there. He can't get enough of the place, to tell you the truth. He's in the bowling. 88 years old, still going in the bowling, in the cards. The senior center is a big part of it. I've known Brenda a long, long time. I think she changed my diapers with my cousin Christine, actually. But, I see Lori Hughes here. I knew Lori for a long time, her brother Rob. It's a great thing for the community. I see a lot of people, I've seen the letters that were signed and the signatures on it. I see Miss Fenderman over here, but not no more, but she was, and a lot of other people in the crowd. And I think it's great that it's bringing the community together. A lot's getting done. The bazaars, they do a lot of great things for the city. And I echo what Councilor Henry D'Angelo said. It was an eyesore. It was a pitfall in the city for a long time, and they've made it such a glorious place to be. And it's a big part of our downtown now. People talk about it, and I'm really proud of everything that they do.
Thank you. And your dad is very active. He makes me draw the tickets once a month.
He told me if I didn't support it tonight, I was cut out of the inheritance.
Go ahead, Councilor DeRose, and then Councilor Sentence.
Yeah, Brenda, thank you for coming, but I just got to piggyback off Jimmy. I think your dad goes there for all the younger, beautiful ladies. But Brenda, my kids love coming to the events. We make it when we can, and your enthusiasm is infectious. Keep doing what you're doing. Great stuff.
Thank you so much.
Councilor Sentence.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. Same sentiments. I think the most amazing thing to me is how you came through COVID. There was good people before that were holding things together, but everybody was exhausted. Yeah. It didn't look great at times, and the way you've come through this and where you are now, I fully support this, so good work.
Thank you so much.
That's a good thing, because the important thing in this is by us giving them more resources to do what they have to do, we can rely that we won't burn people out, because the doers do the work, that.
Yes.
And if we can help and make life easier for everybody, then it's going to be, more people are going to embrace what
Absolutely.
you're doing.
We get an awful lot of help from the Thorold High School as well. We're going to be working with Brock University come September. There's a lot of people that are willing to step in, and more volunteers are stepping forward all the time.
Very good.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Councilor Dindovine.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say thank you. You do a great job there. And I agree with my fellow councilors. This gives people a place to call home. It's filled with love, to relax, socialize. And a lot of seniors with COVID went through anxiety troubles. I know some friends of mine that did, and they go there, they can relax. It's beautiful. And I think more people in Thorold should get involved and help fundraise and be a part of that center and really turn the page. Get all these new people that are in Thorold to come see the center and evolve it to get bigger and bigger. And then it'll help everybody, and it'll help the BIA also.
Yes, most definitely.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, before I call the vote, I do also want to thank, like Brenda did, Jeff Holman and his group, and Maria Morrow, and everybody that did the work to bring this report forward. knowing the importance of our, how important it is for our community. So we have a mover and a seconder on that. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. So now you can, you can do it.
Thank you so much to everyone. It really means a lot to all of us here. So thank you very much. And to Mr. Jeff Holman, he put up with a lot of trouble with us. Lori and I gave him a lot of trouble. We didn't realize we were giving him a lot of trouble. And we hate emails because you can never read an email and understand what the other person is saying. Sometimes it doesn't come across quite how you want it to be. So he's lived with us for this whole process, and we could not have done it without him. So thank you very, very much. Thank you, everyone. Maria, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
So we're going to move on now to PWCS 36 2024 Community Grants. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that report? Counselor Sentence, can I get a seconder? Can I get a seconder? Counselor O'Hare? I didn't. Okay, I'm going to go to Counselor Hanley because I haven't had him yet tonight. Okay, so that report's on the floor now, and we have questions or anything that anybody wants to talk about regarding community grants. I got Counselor Sentence with his hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I like everything on here. I was looking at the one that I think is missing, and I'll give my reasons why. And I don't know exactly the circumstances, but the Thorold Elite Track and Field, they are a true nonprofit. They do 90% of their training out of Thorold. They have Thorold coaches and Thorold athletes on their teams, and they travel all over, I don't know about the world, but North America, where they have huge signs up, Thorold, like our name is everywhere, and on their shirts. So I'd like to, see what my fellow counselors think, but I'd like to put that 1,900 in there for them because I think they deserve it. I think, again, I don't know the circumstances, but I'd like to see them get their fair share as well. I think they're as important as any other group right now. They're huge. But that's my thoughts, and I'd like to hear from...
Okay. Does staff want to comment on that before I open the floor up on how that came about? So that, and then I'm going to go to Councilor De Davidas here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The reason they were excluded from the recommendation to approve was just because their application was received late.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so can I ask a question?
Yes, you can.
So can we still, would it be a budget overrun if we put 1,000 in this year and then referred them to be in, or is there a reserve we could use to get them something? I guess, Maria, that's a question for you, and then put them in the budget next year and make sure they know to get it in on time?
Mr. Mayor, it's a budget overrun.
Budget overrun?
Okay, so you're aware
Yep.
of what that is? You can stay there, Jacob, in case there's more questions. Go ahead, Councilor De Davidas.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I support with my Councilor Sentence to give these guys some money. When they went to Western, I'm not sure if everybody knows, of all the Ontario, they're the first track team ever to win gold, practically won the whole entire thing. It's never been done before. They have so many people involved in this. I went to the Summer Games Park. The whole thing lights up Thorold Elite Track. They're an awesome group of kids. A lot of them are from Thorold. They're one of the probably the best in Ontario, and they showed it by winning the championships in Western. And I think we have to give them something. To give them the big goose egg is totally not fair. I know they submitted late, but I know we're tight with money, but sometimes you got to bend the rules here.
Go ahead, Councilor DeRose.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with Councilor DeDavitis and Councilor Sentence. However, I think staff did a wonderful job with our funding for this. They had to pick and choose. It was beyond the deadline. You have to draw some lines at some point. I'm going to support staff on this.
Go ahead, Councilor D'Angelo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a few questions just for my own clarity so that
Yep,
we're
go ahead.
doing process right here. So they're for the Director of Finance. I see we have items 6 and 7, which is Thorold Minor Baseball and Thorold Minor Soccer, and that's basically a bit of a subsidy for the lights and other costs that are associated with that. I guess my question is, it's in community grants, but what do we do with the hockey grants, the figure skating grants? I don't know if we do any other sporting grants, but are they not the same as waiving some light fees as opposed to subsidizing ice? So I just want a little bit of clarity why those two particular ones are in the community grants while the other ones don't show up here, and maybe where the other ones show up. Just a little clarity for myself and council.
Who wants to answer that? I don't, it's a good question. I don't know the answer.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So a couple of years back, we presented a report to council dealing with ice rates, ice rental rates. So our ice user groups fit in either a partnership group or they fit in with the others that want to come and rent. There is a subsidy, a reduced ice for those user groups that are youth-oriented, and so that's how we pass on the community grants. It's just shown in a different way. I suppose if we were going to put that all together, we could maybe for next year revise the policy and incorporate it into into one document, so you know exactly how much the each group is being subsidized. But we deal with them in two separate ways when we set the ice rental rates.
Go ahead, Councillor.
I guess it sort of explains it, but I would love to see it next year. I obviously won't be here this year because I thought we had lacrosse in the arena last summer. Are they going there again this summer?
They're at Canada Game Park.
Oh, okay, so they're not using our facility. So I don't know if
Are they using here at all? I know they're at Canada Games Park steady.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, lacrosse, St. Catharines Minor Lacrosse is currently booked for this month at the Doherty Arena on the floor.
They are, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. And I know they also use, well, you know why? Because there was still ice in one arena at Canada Games Park, and the other arena is lacrosse right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, to me is, so they're paying the full rate of using the arena, the true cost of using the arena, so they're not getting any subsidy? Like,
I have no idea.
Well,
That's a lacrosse rate, which is different than ice rate. I don't know what the rate is.
I know, but you could set any rate you want, but is it the true cost? Like, I'd like to see a report there because, again, we're struggling with community grants, trying to get some money, trying to get $1,000 for the track team, but yet we're throwing baseball and soccer in here. I don't think they should be part of this. I think they should just be part of our regular organization. Now you have, again, I'm not picking on anyone, but I'm just using them as an example. You have an outside organization, the St. Catharines Lacrosse, coming to Thorold. Are they paying the true cost of using the facility? If not, we're subsidizing it. So, but yet we're recording baseball being subsidized, but we're not recording them being subsidized. I'm just looking for a level playing field for everyone, no pun intended, but a playing field that's level for everybody so we can actually see that. So when we're making decisions here at council, to add another $1,000 would be easier for me to say, yeah, do that because this is how they compare to everyone else and what they're getting, right? And what they're doing in terms of promoting our city. I put that value in there also, so where they're traveling, what they're doing, and the promotions. But I can't really do that. I don't have enough information to do that. So not being critical, I always look for what we can do better and improve it. If we could do that next year, it will make our decision a little better. And the second thing I would suggest is if it's noted, we should have 2 intakes for community grants, a first round intake and a second round intake. This way, there's organizations that come in the second half of this year can still have an opportunity to get some community grants, such as we just had Mr. Venery come here looking for some money. Again, it would be a very easy decision to say, okay, we can move forward with that event because we have a secondary intake here. So this is part of our issue from a council perspective to do a little bit more planning and get ready for that type, because I'm going to see more and more requests, because if we're trying to promote our community, trying to promote events, there's going to be those requests because we're asking people to do it. So if we're going to ask them to do it, we're going to have to pony up to help them support it. But we need to be prepared and be budgeted so that we're not always dealing with budget overruns. So I don't know if I've explained anything in terms of where I stand on this. I do support, because staff has to ultimately, they came with this recommendation, so I tip my hat to them, because like I said, the number was 206, almost 207,000, and they had to whittle it down to 37,000 and try to fit into this very effectively. The other one, I really liked the creative thinking of our staff when they came up with the loan for the runway of recognition, because I remember them coming here during budget saying that they didn't want any money from the city because they wanted to be the committee of their own. They have come back and asked, and we've helped facilitate it, because again, another great event. We're not going to say no, but we're going to work with them. And again, creative thinking from our staff, which I want to commend them for doing that. So those are my comments on the report as it stands.
Thank you. Councillor O'Hare.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll just start off with agreeing with Councillor D'Angelo that it'd be really important next year if we could have a sports teams budget breakdown, so we can compare apples and apples. That would be wonderful. The second thing I want to ask for is to amend these amounts, in particular to number 1, the museum. I'd like to make an additional request for $25,000. I know it's a budget overrun. I know it would either have to come from reserves or development charges. I don't know if that is even possible, but probably a budget overrun coming from reserves. The reason is that we know we have a potential for a very large federal grant here in Thorold to establish our museum. But the timing has not quite worked out the way we'd like it to so far, and we know we have a determined and hardworking board that wants to get this rolling. The money that has been secured for the museum is greatly appreciated. However, it won't go very far. It'll cover some basic expenses in the building, and one of the goals of the board is to create a fundraising campaign with the goal to raise $2 million. In order to do that, they're going to need some sort of staff on hand, and they're going to need some equipment to get rolling. So that is my request. I'll leave that up to fellow councillors, but I think this is something that, even though it will cause a budget overrun, is important for Thorold's future and Thorold's past.
So you're asking to add, to item 1, you're asking to add 25,000.
That's correct.
We're going to deal with this item first, because we're not going to go back and forth all over the map. Is there a seconder for that request? Councillor D'Angelo.
Can I speak on it?
Are you going to second the motion?
Yeah, I'll second to get it on the floor so we need
That's
a debate
good.
on
Now-
this.
Through you,
it's on the
Mr.
floor.
Mayor, through you, I've been waiting.
Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
well, I can wait, it's not a problem. I just want to get it on the floor so we can have
It's
some
on the
discussion.
floor. Okay, go. Are you going to speak on this, Councillor Decker?
No, I wanted to speak on Councillor Sentence's motion, because you're jumping back and forth now, and I've been waiting a while, so I just wanted to have a turn, that's all.
Okay. Okay, we're going to deal with this, and then we're going to come back, because there wasn't, that motion wasn't officially on the floor because it wasn't seconded. This one's seconded. We'll deal with this, then we'll go to that one, Councillor Decker. So we will do that next, okay?
Sure.
Okay. So that motion's on the floor. And did you want to speak to it? Go ahead, and then I'll come over here.
Well, yes, Mr. Mayor. I'm in concurrence that with what's transpiring, unfortunately, it's not public knowledge yet, and we can't say too much about it, but there's the federal grant opportunities that may become our way. But timing is very critical, as it was mentioned, in regards to what's happening with the museum and property that we own within our city. So I don't know, I guess my question is, I know the motion is to take it out of, or add it to community grants. What I wanted to ask is, because again, it's new here and we're debating it, if I could ask the Director of Finance a few questions, like, is there a way that we can get this money without making it part, like, it's going to be a bigger project than just a community grant. I think where it's headed in the community, it's going to be a large project. Is there a way to fund it without using community grants if it's outside the community grants, is there a way to fund it through either some sort of reserve, a future expansion through development charges? Like, maybe, again, they've been very creative with some of the stuff they've done here. I want to tap into their creativity and see if there's a way and a mechanism of how we can help the museum project move forward with a little bit of funding. And I don't think the 25 is enough. I think we need to look at a little bigger number, but I want to see what possibilities can occur from the finance department first.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, development charges, this is operational, so absolutely not, to answer your first question. I think what's outstanding with respect to the whole museum thing is that whole governance thing that will come forward probably for next year. So in terms of this year, it would be a community grant. You can, when we talked at budget time, we did caution how much we had to strip down the reserves to get you where we got you. And, it's a budget overrun, folks, whether you fund it from a reserve or whether it's from the general operating level. This is a budget overrun. So I would recommend if that's a direction council wants to go, let's call it what it is, and it's an operational expense. It shouldn't come from reserves.
Yeah, go ahead. Did you have another question, Councillor Diaz?
Well, again, as it was mentioned, part of this is going to be a fundraising program to help facilitate with the federal funding that's a possibility there. That's why I was wondering if it's not going to the operation of anything. The operation has been the $10,000 to operate the little museum at next to the senior center. The funding that we're looking for, or my interpretation of what the councillor brought forward, is more towards the capital portion of getting the building retrofitted with federal funding that could be possibly coming forward. So that's why I'm a little hesitant to say it's operational, because it's not operational. But again, I would heed to the director's comments. If you want to call it a budget overrun, and we'll deal with a budget overrun, so be it. But I'm just wondering, that's why I thought if there's development charges, maybe they're ones there, but is there a capital account, a reserve? I know you're stripping it down, but it's to work on getting capital funds for the building. So that's where I'm sort of questioning it a little bit more. And again, I'll respectfully hear the answer.
Want to comment on that? No.
Nothing, okay.
Okay. I had Councillor DeRose next.
Yeah, I won't support any budget overruns. I think our finance department has done a wonderful job. It's hard for them. They have to be the tough ones here. I would love to give the museum 122 grand, just like that. But once again, it's an overrun. Where does it come from? Taxpayers. So we're here to represent all taxpayers and to respect that the experts are our financial department. And that's my say is I will not support any overruns today. Thank you.
Councillor Sentence.
Yeah, the reason I'm looking at this is what we know, but can't say. Things change, and I like Councillor D'Angela's idea of maybe leaving things for a second round of stuff so that we're not pitted against each other. So sometimes things come up and sometimes things change, and we have to make a decision. We're not trying to hurt anybody or the taxpayer or anything, and I hope staff didn't think I was insulting anybody earlier with the other one. I just didn't know the circumstances, and so Jacob, I wasn't insulting what you guys did. You do a great job, but circumstances do change from time to time, and we have to deal with it. So I understand from their point of view what they need. It was explained to me, so I'll support this if it comes to the vote. Thank you.
Councillor Longo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just listening to all the councillors, my feeling on this, I would like to support it the way it is, using staff's recommendation. The reasoning is we don't know where this is going. There's rumors out in the community. My preference would be to wait and see if the rumor becomes a reality. And at that point, we'd be forced into a decision. We would have to make a budget overrun if we're going to move forward with an expansion. So I don't see how it hurts to leave it the way it is today. With $10,000, there's enough there to move along a little bit. and hopefully an announcement comes in our favor. So I would support it the way it is at this point.
I have a question. Instead of hard dollars, is there a way, if they require certain assistance in the meantime, to what Councillor Longo says, that we could provide in-kind services, assistance from staff to undertake some of their needs? Is that a possibility? You know, to get going, if they need some council or some staff oversight or some staff assistance, is that a possibility? Rather than, you know, hard dollars at this time until we know exactly where we're heading. I guess that's my question.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, we're happy to provide whatever support is needed. I think in the next report it details a little bit more, but I think what we're looking for from the museum group is an operating plan that talks about governance, it talks about ownership of the assets and how they're going to be managed, and there's still some uncertainty there. And I know we're getting close, and those the management of these historical assets do require a commitment of funding. And that's really another report, quite frankly, that would come back to council for their consideration to talk about how that governance model is going to work. You gave us that direction back in January when we talked about the budget for this, and it was referred to community grants. The staff recommendation of $10,000 is really just to cover the operational expenses of operating to Carlton. And I know it's a little bit light, and I know that we need to go back and do a deeper dive into how those expenses are going to be managed. But that's really something that requires some further investigation. And I could see us coming back to council in another month or so, probably the June meeting at the latest, with a more comprehensive plan about what we will have, what we're working towards, and what the cost of that will be.
So that's basically it in a nutshell. We've asked for that report. Staff's working on that report. That money's there in the interim, and I like what Councillor Longo says, that we can revisit it at that time and see where we're situated. But again, I'll leave it on the floor for council to.
So you're saying a report would come back June-ish on this very subject, and then we would make a decision then?
That's correct.
I can live with that.
Is everybody good with that? Is there anybody that will, because that is something we have asked for, and this is something staff's already working on. So I think it's prudent that we let them do their work and come back to council, and in the meantime, there's seed money there for them to get going.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think it's good to wait also, like Mr. D'Angelo, Councilor D'Angelo said earlier, that could be a lot bigger amount of money they need. So the 10,000 is to start now, but let's see in a couple of months, we'll come back with a report and we'll go from there. Because the difference between 10, 25 is not that much. Because they're going to have a large amount of money they're going to need down the road. So waiting could be the best for all of us.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Councilor.
Yeah. On this particular case, I think we've waited long enough for the museum and supporting them. With great disappointment, I look around this council chamber and I walk down the hallway. We lost relics of our history that were thrown away for whatever reason. And they're struggling to locate stuff. They're struggling to have the volunteers to do this. They're looking for a little bit of help. If Mr. Mayor, if you want to use your example of providing some city staff time to help them with that, that could go a long way. Transporting, moving stuff, storing stuff, like that was part of their budget too. It's, you know, I remember Councillor Hanley used to say Thorold was good for build, burn, and bury in terms of heritage. Well, our history is being eroded. Things are just disappearing. Even today, I just actually met with the Historical Society, donated a council desk from our past council chambers that was destined to go into the garbage. So we're losing relics, we're losing time. They're asking for a bit of support. You know, if you want to wait, the bill might be higher later. That's fine with me, I guess. But they're really reaching out and looking for council to get behind them and support us. The history of Thorold's eroding, and I don't want it to erode any further. And I've seen it. Scrapbooks have been thrown away. Stuff that should be historic in nature are disappearing just because they're disappearing because we don't have a proper place. Unfortunately, timing's not helpful here from a federal perspective in our announcements, because if it was, we'd have a different discussion tonight. But unfortunately, sometimes we can't discuss exactly what's being told to us because of privilege. I think we need to support them a little bit tonight to show them in good faith that we want to support them along the way. So that's why I support the increase at this time, even if it's a modest one, more than the 10,000 to get them going, to show that we're behind you. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead, Councillor Hanlon.
I'm for waiting for a more wholesome report. I love the history there. I actually donated some articles that are in that museum. I used to say, burn it, bulldoze it, and bury it. And we did it a lot in the city, and you're exactly right. A lot of our history's been gone, destroyed, whatever, but I'd like to take it, you know, it's just a couple months away, wait till June, get a more wholesome report back, see what the rumors are within the municipality, if they come to fruition, and then we can make a decision. You know, we just had an item come up there, council meeting ago, that we were gonna delay it for 3 months, the same thing, to see if we wanna enter in it in a 3-month period. So I'm going to wait and support what's on the floor today, and I'll wait for a more wholesome report to come back in June, and then we could further discuss it, and then see what amount of funding then we may have to come forward with.
Thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead, Councillor.
I just want to, through you, Mr. Mayor, I just want to say I'm for the museum. I just want to wait just in case we give them the money and they're going to need an extra 50, 70, who knows how much more. Wait 2 months, I don't think it's too big. But I'm totally for the project, and I want to see it happen.
Okay. Okay, any further discussion? Go ahead, Councillor O'Hare.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just very brief. You know, there's a great saying, strike while the iron's hot. And we know we're on the verge, and this would give them a little bit more seed money to get rolling. We have a great crew out there that are anxious to get going, lots of great ideas, so I really hope some councillors will support this. It's a small overrun. I know it's an overrun. But sometimes you have to make the decision. We all do in life. You know, your child gets hurt and all of a sudden you got to rush them somewhere, and that expense is unaccounted for. So this is an instance where it would be a perfect example of where we might say, yeah, it's an overrun, but it's a worthy overrun. Thank you.
Just one more.
Go ahead, Councillor.
Just through you to Councillor Hare, because I know he's in contact with them. So you think and they feel this is something that is needed now?
Absolutely, and far less than what, of course, they're asking for. But yes, now, thank you.
And at the end of the day, when things come forward, this
Through
will
the
all be
chair.
part of it. Through you.
Okay. Listen, so here's where we're at. If you want to add 25,000, you vote for the amendment. If you don't want to add 25,000 and leave it at 10 and wait till the report to come back, you vote against it, okay? And then it'll go back to the original 10, correct?
Yep, this is just a vote on the amendment.
That's the vote on the amendment, okay?
Just one clarity question. I know the 10,000's for basically the utilities of operating, I believe insurance utilities, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they applied for a Canada Summer Student Grant. If they're accepted for that, they applied for 6 students. Now, if they're accepted for that, they have to put up some money up front. So will we automatically, like, is that 10,000 going to support that? Or is that something that they may lose that grant because we're not supporting their extra cost associated with those students. So we're getting some student work done at a federal level, but we need to chip in our portion to get that. So will we lose that if we don't move forward with the extra funding that they need?
Go ahead. That's why I brought up the suggestion that we provide resources in kind to oversee that if required.
Well, Mr. Mayor, in kind is different than funding the extra amount.
Yes.
So
I don't know if
I
we have
don't
to
want to
fund the
lose a
extra
grant
amount.
because we haven't given them the money because it's not in the budget, in the
So it's the museum that applied for students, not the city of Thorold.
That's correct.
Okay?
That's correct.
Yes. That is a separate issue that has to be addressed with staff. Okay? Because that is the museum that applied for students, not the city of Thorold. So it's their ask, and if that's another ask, then that's, something bigger than this.
But, Mr. Mayor, that's in their, a budget that they asked for. In the 122, it's included in there. That's why Counselor, I'm supporting the Counselor motion of adding a little bit more, because the likelihood, there's no certainty for sure, but there's a good likelihood that they'll get some students. I just want to make sure that they can then fund the other portion of it so that we're getting some federal money here, paying for some students doing some work for the museum. I don't want to lose out on that. That's my
No,
concern.
it's a good point, but my question to staff is, when we get student grants, what is the cost to the city on that? Because I think they allot hours, don't they? Yeah.
So, yep, Mr. Mayor, so the Canada Summer Jobs Grant Program will pay for up to half of the approved minimum wage for that level of position. And there's no guarantee of what that amount will be or what the maximum hours. So they would have to reach a certain number of hours. That all gets calculated. It's reported at the end of the summer. At that point, they would know how much money they're actually getting from the grant itself. So although they may be approved up to a certain amount,
Right.
that's based on the application. The amount they received is very dependent on how that summer goes, whether they reach their maximums and what that looks like.
So there is an obligation on their behalf financially.
They would be paying the wages that they've put forward, similar to any student position that's put forward. So the city does this. We pay a higher rate to the students, for example, for the pool, than would be approved in terms of the money, but we would apply to receive some of those wages back through the grant.
I understand.
So my concern, Mr. Mayor, I don't want to be sitting here in June saying, well, they couldn't move forward with the students, so they had to pass on the grant because they didn't have the funds to do it. I will not be a happy camper if that happens, because, we always look at upper levels of government to get money here. So if we're not going to secure anything beyond the 10,000, it's going to be disappointing. So doesn't seem like, from what I hear, they want to support 25,000, but I would support at least the summer student program. And if it doesn't come to fruition, there's no cost. But if it comes to fruition, at least we have it covered. So that, I don't know if that could be an amendment to the motion. I'll look at the mover to see if that's there, but I don't want to give up on a grant that we
No, and
potentially.
I understand. I don't have an idea of how much money that would cost.
Well, it's in their budget.
What did they put in for?
I'm looking for the sheets. Someone could help me find it, that would be helpful.
6 students.
Whoever has the budget for the 122,000 beyond there, I can't seem to find it right now, Mr. Mayor.
It's 36,300 if they get 6 students.
35,300.
What?
35,300.
35,300 if they get 6 students.
That's the cost, but I think there was again,
And
that's
then
why I
what?
love printed copies as opposed to the computer, because it's easier to find stuff, but I thought they showed the revenue for the students as part of their budget, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken.
How much?
I think it's like 16,000 for revenue, and then is it 36 for?
So what they have mentioned, through you, Mr. Mayor, 35,300 as expenses. And it also says here that the museum has submitted an application for funding under the Canada jobs program, which could reduce this amount by 22,280.
So it could reduce the amount of that 32,000.
Well, that's what I would like to see us.
So do you want to amend the motion to say that we cover uncovered costs of any students they are allotted under the summer student program?
You'd have to ask the mover.
I would accept that. But that means also that we'll still be getting the report from staff?
The staff reports, yes.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm good with it as a seconder, because I just don't want to lose the opportunity
No,
to
no,
get.
it's a point well taken. So do we capture that? The other motion now is off the table. And they are asking that we cover the difference if they're successful in the summer student program, the difference between what they receive and what the actual cost is.
Because if they're not successful, then obviously there's no cost to cover.
That's correct. I just want to,
So it's 15,020.
yeah, that's, if you look at that, that's based on 6.
Yeah, based on 15,020.
But we don't know if they're getting 6.
So just confirm that wording then, Mr. Mayor, that the approved grant for the Thorold Museum be increased to support the costs of the museum's summer positions up to $15,020 once the final report is submitted.
So, and that's the difference between the grant and what they figure the cost is, correct? Okay, does everybody understand that? And that's a point well taken. We don't want to leave students on the table if they've been given students. So that's the motion, the amended motion on the number 1. Is there any further discussion on that? Go ahead, Councilor DeRoe.
Can we just quantify that overrun total?
We don't know, it's possible, it could be 15? If they get 6 students.
Top of the 10.
Yeah, if they get 6 students, but we don't know how many, or if, what that number is right now, okay?
So it would be approving, Mr. Mayor, a budget overrun of $14,975 in principal, because we don't know the exact amount. So it would be a budget overrun up to that amount.
Up to that amount.
15, so the overrun would be 14,975, which is the 45 minus the 15.
Okay. Any further discussion on that? You had a mover and a seconder, Councilor O'Hare and Councilor DeAngelo. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, so now do we have to vote on the amended motion or no? What? No, because
No,
that's
so now you've got the motion is still on the floor as amended, open for any future amendments if that was still coming forward from Councilor Sentence.
Oh, is everybody good with that? Now we can go down and you can bring up the Thorold Elite Track Club. And did Councilor Decker had her hand up? She wanted to speak on that. Do you want to second that, Councilor Decker?
Yeah, I'll second it.
And, okay, so we got a mover and a seconder for $1,000 on the Thorold Elite Track Club. They asked for $1,900, you're asking to give them $1,000 for this year. That is on the floor. Councilor Decker, did you want to speak to that? Because I don't want to miss you.
No, I just think that I understand that, staff have put in a lot of hard time in, to the grant allocations and whatnot. But I do agree that they are representing our city and they do go to meets and they do go to competitions. And I think $1,000 budget overrun is something that is acceptable, and I'm going to support that. I think that they should get that $1,000 to help them with whatever needs that they need. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Decker. So we had a mover, seconder. Is there anyone else that wants to speak to that? Go ahead, Councilor DeAngelo.
Just clarity, because it was mentioned that the application came late. Was the application vetted and it meet the criteria?
A good question. I'll ask Jacob. Jacob, if you want to comment on the application.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we did review the application, and it did meet all the criteria.
Excellent to know.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Longo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to staff member, is one of the criteria that they're nonprofit? Is that required, and do they have to provide nonprofit status?
If a charity, if one of the groups is nonprofit is a question, it's not necessarily required.
But Thorold Elite Track and Field is a nonprofit?
They are correct.
Okay, yeah, okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Okay, the motion is moved by Councillor Sentence, seconded by Councillor Decker. Is there that?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I just want to confirm the wording.
Through Mr. Mayor, I think you've reduced the $45 twice. For the first one and then the second one.
Yes, I have. Thank you.
Good catch, Maria. Okay, a budget overrun, then that'll be 1,000. That will be 1,000, be approved. Okay, I had a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried.
So now you just need the motion as amended, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so the whole, we're back to the whole community grant as amended. Did I get a mover and a seconder on that? Yes, and before I vote, Councillor DeRose, do you want to speak?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about number 5, the runway recognition.
Go ahead.
Just a couple of questions, maybe council staff that are representing council. First of all, well, let me ask our finance department first. Are we in the habit of lending money to entities? Since I've been on council, I don't remember this. I don't remember us lending money.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, no, technically no. We have historically, when they were a committee of council, we would provide them with the seed money, and then they would pay it back. Last year, they chose to no longer be a committee of council, but through the community grant process, they're asking for the situation to be continued.
Thank you. And then can I ask any council reps that are on it, why did they remove themselves from being affiliated with the city?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Councilor DeRose, you would have to ask the committee.
Well, you're on the committee, so I'm asking you.
Technically, no, I'm not on the committee any longer.
Does anybody know?
I'll ask our city clerk to answer.
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit, Mr. Mayor, only that as we added some additional requirements, because they were a committee of council, they were treated as a local board, which means they had to follow all of our procedural bylaw requirements, including the recording of the meetings, following through the minutes. There was just sort of an uncomfortable level with that, with the amount of confidential information that they needed to review in terms of selecting the winners and everything that went through with it. They felt more comfortable acting as a community organization rather than as a committee of council.
Thank you, Matthew.
Okay. Okay. Is there any further discussion on that, on the community grants? Okay, as amended. We had a mover and a seconder on the whole thing. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Now we got PWCS 43 2024 assignment assumption and assumption of lease agreement update, Canadian Corps Thorold Museum, 2 Carlton Street. Can I get a mover and seconder to put the report on the floor? Councillor Hanley and Councillor O'Hare. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We have one addition, which was the agenda as amended, and that's the public forum motion 12.7 as amended. And that is up on the board now. I got Counselor D'Angelo moving it, Counselor Senton seconding it. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, before we go into closed session, any notices of motion? Go ahead, Counselor D'Angelo.
Mr. Mayor, I'm looking for a bit of direction here. If you could provide some guidance. We received a letter regarding the Port Robinson traffic mitigation issues. All I want to do is refer it to staff for some discussion. Do I need to bring a notice of motion, or do you want me to do it under motion so we could just refer it to staff for some discussion and I could speak on it a little bit?
I'll ask the clerk, how do you want to do that? He wants a staff report, right?
I want to refer it to staff, not necessarily a staff report, staff to work on it, but I don't want to go through, like, to me, it's a lot of,
No, I know where you're heading.
I was going to say rigmarole, but
Yeah. Go ahead to Sean.
We already know what you're talking about. We will work on it and bring it to the Traffic Safety Committee.
Okay, are you good with that? He's working on it, going to bring it to traffic safety.
okay, my only concern with that is that's contrary to what council directed staff to do. So long as everyone's okay with it and they don't come down on staff later for doing it, I'm fine with that. I just wanted to make sure we properly flow it through the channels so that it doesn't look like this thing is receiving favoritism or this is following outside the norms of doing things. So that's my concern, because I don't want staff to get beat up over this, because people will be happy and some people won't, but we're trying to come up with a compromise. And staff is aware of that, but I want to make sure we're in the right direction.
Mr. Mayor, I would suggest that as staff are aware and have probably been in receipt of similar communications, it's reasonable for them to look into it and provide an appropriate response to the committee, so I don't see any issue with that.
And then if it comes back, then we would have to.
If the committee made a recommendation that was contrary to a decision of council, it would be up to council to reconsider or decide how they wanted to move forward with it.
Okay?
I'm good with that. My only question is, when is the committee, the safety committee meeting next?
We can pull that up for you in a minute.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's the first week in May.
Okay, so we're good then, thanks.
Okay, okay. Statement by councilors. I got Counselor DeRose. Go ahead.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to ask us if we can collectively please try to reduce the use of outside consultants. I know it's just come to my attention in several instances, but I understand due to staffing vacancies, resource shortages, expertise beyond that's what our staff can provide. But if we can collect, because I know council, we approve the budgets and the post-budget approval adjustments, but if we could just maybe in the future, try to come up with some strategies to try to keep more things in-house. I'm looking at 2022, and we spent $1,279,100 on outside consultants. And, you know, we were short-staffed, but now we've got more staff we hired. So I'm just, any savings would help. And secondly, I just want to, can I add a second one, Matthew? I just wanted to add with your permission, a second statement by counselor.
No, not.
I can't, too late?
Yeah.
Okay, well then put me down for next meeting for a statement by counselor.
Yeah, and let them know what it is. Okay, so
Yeah, thank
that's
you.
a point well taken. Now we're going to proceed into closed session. So before I ask for a mover and a seconder to go into closed session, I would like to remind you of your obligations respecting closed session. Those who are participating electronically in the closed session must ensure that no other person is in the location from which they are taking part in the meeting, or make appropriate arrangements so that other persons cannot see or hear any of the confidential deliberations taking place. If this is not possible, you must withdraw from the meeting until it has been reconvened in open session. So the motion on the screen is explaining now why we're going into closed session, and I'll read that so that those online can hear it. That council do now move into closed session to receive confidential information respecting a meeting held for the purpose of educating and training the members of council under Section 239.31 of the Municipal Act 2001, bylaw enforcement education session. Number 2, a matter respecting a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality under Section 239.2C of the Municipal Act 2001, property purchase, 62 St. David's Road. And thirdly, a matter respecting labor relations and employee negotiations under Section 239.2D of the Municipal Act 2001, updates to the salary grid. Can I get a mover and a seconder to go into closed session? Councillor DeRose and Councillor O'Hare.